Hey everybody, it's Allie and welcome to our Y&R Chat for Sunday, September 24th, 2017. It's kind of funny because I saw so many comments this week of people saying they were completely over the Lily, Kane, Juliet storyline. And for me, that was the most exciting and compelling part of the week. I think in part it's because I am finally seeing what I needed to see from Kane. For all of those weeks and weeks where he was being bad Kane, and then the follow-up after he got caught when he was just blaming everybody else, I feel like finally starting this week, we're really starting to see and understand Kane's pain, and we're also seeing and understanding how Kane is paying. He is getting a front row seat to watch the turmoil that he has caused in his family. And I think he's really starting to understand that he was the architect of this entire mess. He sees it being reflected in his children and their lives. Charlie didn't make the football team. He's now unhappy at school. Maddie is seeing a forbidden boy and skipping school on top of that. And Kane wants to do whatever he can do to fix his family starting now. And I just feel like he's now come full circle in his ability to actually start doing that. The question, of course, is now, is Lily. Kane tells her that he wants to move back in with her and be with the kids and try to repair not only their relationship but their household, their family, and Lily insists that she is not ready for that. Now, I understand completely that that would be a big leap for Lily. She's not really ready to let him into her heart and let alone back into her house. But the other thing that I like about this story and how it's progressing this week is that now I feel like some of the attention is turning to Lily a little bit, because what is Lily doing to try to make a decision on this? She says she's not ready for Kane to move back in, but what is she doing to get ready? If anything, it feels that whatever she's doing right now is only serving to push Kane away, not to heal the marriage, not really even maybe to have a better understanding of who she is. It just feels like she's burning time right now. And as Kane said, how are we going to ever fix our marriage if I'm not here? And furthermore, how are they going to fix the marriage if she won't give him anything? I mean, personally, I thought that marriage counseling was a great first step. They both do meet with the therapist this week and just sit down and express what they're feeling and talk about where they are, who they are. And I really liked getting an insight into really truly where these two individuals are independently. Kane, I think, is still stuck in this cycle of trying to justify himself. He made an interesting comment to Lily, really wanting her to understand that the affair with Juliet was not something that he ever wanted. He even said, I never had a sexual thought about this woman in my mind, and yet we did have sex. I mean, the reality of the sex is growing day by day. In fact, Lily has to keep running into it all over town. I mean, she had a run-in with Juliet at the coffee house, sees Juliet standing there all pregnant, rubbing her belly, I think really playing it up, and maybe Lily could get past that. But shifting into Lily's conversation with the therapist, it's so much larger for her. It's not just the affair, it's not just the sex. There was a little moment where Kane was trying to compare her affair with his affair, and her bigger issue, I think, is just the fact that it's lies upon more lies. And maybe if it weren't for that, she would be able to deal with the Juliet thing. I think that a good first step for Lily, and I think that's what we need to start seeing are some steps from Lily. Kane's making some steps. I have felt that from him, but we need to start seeing some steps from Lily. I think what she needs to do is really take a good hard look of what this new reality would mean for her. Try to picture yourself living in this new reality. Accept that Juliet is pregnant. Accept that Kane will be helping her raise this baby. That's what you asked him to do. And then ask yourself if you can live like that. And I don't think there's any right or wrong answer here. It's whatever Lily as an independent individual decides to do with the rest of her life. But I feel like now what we need is to start progressing toward an answer to that question from Lily. Usually on Y&R or on soap operas, you end up seeing a marriage end quickly and kind of off screen, and it's just like, oh yeah, there are divorce papers signed, and there's not really an attempt to fix it. I think another one of the things that I appreciated about the evolution of this story with Lily and Kane this week was the fact that we were having a conversation of the pros and cons. A lot of times marriages don't fall apart for one single reason that can be pinpointed, like Abby and Stitch, you know, I mean, it's just like, it doesn't just go away and yeah, everybody's sad, but a lot of times it's just a sticky situation that has layers upon layers of feelings, years upon years of feelings. It's not just one thing, it's like a buildup of things. And I liked the marriage counseling session because it felt like both sides were really presented, Lily and Kane, to each other, but also to us as the audience. I thought that it was a very encouraging first step, but eventually the conversation leads Lily to have to admit to Kane that she really didn't agree to the marriage counseling to try to fix the marriage. She agreed to the counseling because she feels that it's what's best for her family, that her children are her #1 priority, and Kane's kind of a, if it works out, it works out, if it doesn't, whatever. I'm just, you know, she was doing it mostly to try to heal what's going on with the kids, and I think that I don't know that she knew that before. I don't know that Kane knew that before. There was something about that moment where Lily was pressed to answer if she wanted to fix the marriage, and she can't answer. And I think in that moment, Kane had the realization, probably for the first time, that there's a real possibility this won't work out. And I think that there's a real possibility that Lily realized that for the first time too. Lily and Kane are a remarkably long-term couple when it comes to soap opera couples, and there is a sense, I think, with them that whatever will be thrown their way, they will eventually work it out. But I definitely had a takeaway from this marriage counseling session that it may very well lead to the end of their marriage. Lily can't take it. Just, it's too much pressure on the conversation. She gets up, she has to walk out, and she leaves Kane sitting there on the couch alone. There was this great shot, many shots actually, of the two of them and the marriage counselor shot from above the room, and it just created this sort of sense of looking down and shame and isolation, especially when Kane was sitting there alone. After Lily left the counselor's office, she got home, and there was kind of an interesting conversation that she had with Maddie, and it was, I don't know if it was just me taking it this way, but there was a sense of maybe Lily presenting a little bit of hope to Maddie. I mean, Maddie is really pushing Lily, I think, to try to do something and to not just, like, Maddie resents what's been forced upon her with her relationship with Reed, and she resents seeing Jordan waiting at the door, and she, I think, resents the fact that Lily is clearly the one that's putting up the wall as far as what the healing is. And Lily was trying to, I think, give a little bit of hope to Maddie by saying, I went to this marriage counseling session. I think that's Lily's out in a way of saying, well, look, I'm trying to fix it. I went to the marriage counseling session. I mean, you know, maybe just sort of under an undertone of that. But I wish that Lily would have passed along even even a little crumb of hope to Kane, because I don't think Kane had any hope coming away from that counseling session. He goes immediately from the therapist's office to the bar where he's drinking a beer, and he runs into Juliet. Look, I don't know. Either she followed him there, or she is really, really, truly a lonely person. What pregnant woman goes to a bar club at night, not knowing anyone, goes completely alone to a club just to watch people drink and dance and have fun while she's sitting there with a club soda? I mean, and why that particular bar? I don't know. It's maybe a little bit suspicious or a little bit convenient, because then she swings by the Chancellor Mansion later where Kane is staying. She brings him some Chinese food and, in a larger sense, probably an offer of some friendship and also, honestly, a really great reality check. Juliet and Kane sitting there in the Chancellor Mansion, and she starts to be friendly with him, but also acknowledge the situation that's in the room. It almost feels like every time Kane and Juliet are in the room together, Kane wants to deny that she's carrying his child, and she, tries to give him a reality check, saying, look, buddy, you need to either step back or step up. And I thought that was a great way to kind of check him, and he ultimately decided to kind of step up. He did try to involve himself with the baby. They're sitting there thinking about baby names. He maybe even had a little moment of getting excited about it. I mean, this is an exciting thing if it was the woman you were in love with. So I think he gave himself over to it for just a moment, but that certainly does not mean that he needs to involve himself with her romantically. I mean, like, the one thing that's hanging in the air to me, even above and beyond the baby, is the fact that she just completely destroyed his career with this sexual harassment lawsuit, and he just seems to have let that go completely. I mean, if you take everything else off the table, that sexual harassment lawsuit, which was a lie, and we all know was a lie, and Hillary has proof that's a lie, I mean, that still happened. I would have a hard time trusting her. I would absolutely have a hard time trusting her. It does establish that she's capable of lies, she's capable of manipulation, but who isn't, right? I don't know. We know what Juliet wants. She was very excited by the fact that they had their little bonding session. In fact, she was so excited that she kissed him. They kissed. They kissed. I couldn't believe it. I really couldn't believe it, because it wasn't just a one little kiss and then Kane was like, whoa, girl. No, they kissed, and it was kind of like, all right, that happened, but we're not going to qualify it as either good or bad. We're just going to kind of, yeah. I mean, throw everything that I said about Jordan imposing on Lily and Kane's marriage. Juliet just did the same thing. And so I will say the same thing about Juliet as I did about Jordan. The marriage counseling session did not go well, but that does not mean that Lily and Kane are divorced, and therefore Kane is just openly kissable. I mean, Juliet and Jordan, in my opinion, both need to back off until Lily and Kane decide, if they decide, that it's over. Oh, you guys, the wolves are at the door of this relationship, and they are hungry. Lily meets with Michael this week to ask Michael about Kane's legal responsibility to Juliet's baby. By the way, I thought it was interesting. She could have asked Michael to file those divorce papers. She could have even started with separation papers, but she chose not to do that. It is interesting to know that Lily is aware that divorce is a road that she could take, but she didn't take it today. I don't know why she would call Michael there otherwise. It almost seemed like maybe she was testing the waters to get information about a divorce, because Michael tells her what she should already know about Kane's obligation. I mean, legally, Kane has an obligation to contribute financially to Juliet and to the baby, but what I think is an even more interesting point of discussion is, what is Kane's moral obligation to Juliet specifically? We understand that, of course, as a man, he's going to have a responsibility to his child, but what is his responsibility to this woman who's carrying his child, who he really has no romantic feelings for at this point anyway? Does Kane have a moral obligation to Juliet? YRChat.com. I would love to get some discussion going on around that. I mean, I think that we're all holding out this little kernel of curiosity as to whether or not that baby is actually Kane's, but for the purposes of argument, I think we have to assume that it is. I don't know that we can. I am still waiting for the twist, of course, but I haven't seen anything right now that suggests to me overtly that there is going to be a paternity twist there. So I'm wondering, does Kane have an obligation to be there for Juliet at all of these doctor's appointments, and should he be there comforting her? I mean, the woman's carrying his child, but but does the obligation end when the child is born? I mean, I think a lot of this storyline is I don't know. I guess maybe it's just driven because I had a baby recently. Maybe that's part of it, and I'm thinking of myself being in Juliet's shoes a little bit more than I probably would have pre-baby. But at the very least, I feel like Kane does have a moral obligation to be there for her. He doesn't have any reason to think the baby isn't his. Everybody thinks the baby's his. So I just kind of think that he should be there for her. And furthermore, this is going to be a really unpopular opinion, but I'm going to say it because it's mine, and this is what I was thinking this week. I am getting really kind of tired of everyone in Genoa City treating Juliet and her baby like they don't matter. Like they're just second-class citizens and screw them. Like, that doesn't feel right to me. If Kane's the child, if she's carrying Kane's child, and if Juliet's being completely honest about that, then they both deserve better. I mean, I hate to stick my neck out for Juliet this week the way I stuck my neck out for Graham last week, only to have him turn around 24 hours later and be an evil character. But I mean, I just feel like being pregnant with Kane's child is not all Juliet's fault. She didn't do anything wrong in that little in that nugget. She didn't do anything wrong there, and I can't, I guess, blame her for wanting to have a relationship with the father of her child if he gets divorced. So it really ticked me off when Juliet came from that meeting at Kane's house to the athletic club, where she ran into Hillary in the hallway. They are, of course, being a little catty with one another, and out of nowhere, Juliet has a contraction, and it pulls her back. She's like sitting down on the stairs, like going, oh, I mean, really obviously in pain, and Hillary almost walked away. I mean, like, the second Juliet goes down in pain, Hillary turns her back and says, yeah, you better get that checked, and almost just leaves a pregnant woman wincing in pain. I mean, like, I get she was in public, somebody else could have helped her, but that seemed so unnecessarily cold to me. Hillary had no problem being friendly with Juliet when she had something to gain from her. It just bugs me. If even Lily can find a way to be cordial to Juliet, why can't Hillary? They treat this woman like she's scum under their shoe, and I don't entirely, I mean, outside of the harassment lawsuit, I don't know what she did to deserve it. Again, it's probably just me, having been, a new mom. That might be it. But Hillary is able to graciously bring herself to drive Juliet to the hospital, and Juliet receives this heartbreaking news that she has a condition called placenta previa. I don't know anything about this condition other than what Y&R has told us, and it is essentially a life-threatening condition, and it could cause death to the baby. It could cause death to Juliet. So therein lies the drama. Now Juliet and her pregnancy have been like shot up to red alert level. You know, I felt bad for Juliet learning that information, and I understand why she called for Kane, why she wanted him to be there. This is their baby. Kane's the only other person on earth who is going to understand and care the way she does if something happens to this child. So she asks Hillary to call Kane. He comes, and I just think Kane's the father. He should be there. He should take care of her. I mean, you know, in terms of the story and where it's headed, thinking that this is going to go one of two ways, maybe both, I don't know. I think that the doctor is going to tell Juliet that she needs to be on bed rest. I'm wondering if Kane is going to end up moving her into the mansion, possibly becoming closer with her, possibly driving a bigger wedge between Lily and Kane, or I wonder if there's any possibility that Juliet is going to end up dying in childbirth. We've all been kind of predicting that Juliet's not a character that's going to stick around for a while, so I almost wonder if she's going to end up dying in childbirth and leaving Kane and Lily to raise the baby, which sounds so sad. I don't even want to go through that. I mean, we just kind of went through the death of a young mother with Sage. It's a little dark for me, to be honest with you. I mean, because either way, no matter what, where we are is serious. I mean, what's this placenta previa is a serious condition, and I'm taking it very seriously. But yet, the whole thing's going down, and Hillary is standing there rolling her eyes. The doctor wasn't hired to come in and play a part and pretend that Juliet has this disease. This is happening, and Hillary is standing there rolling her eyes. Why? Why, Hillary? Is it because she's so hell-bent on Kane and Lily getting back together just so she can have sex with Jordan some more? How about that sexual weightlifting, though, session between Hillary and Jordan this week? Woo! Billy and Phyllis in the steam room had nothing on them. I mean, there was practically steam coming off of Hillary and Jordan there. I mean, like, they were both just like, they happened to be working out at the gym where everybody is now. And like, I mean, Hillary is like licking her lips. Jordan can't help like looking at her and going over to help her and offering to help her lift weights while she's laying down like inches from his crotch. I mean, come on. They were thirsty. The thing is, all this time, I've been wondering, why is it that Hillary is so invested in Jordan? What is it about Jordan that she cannot let go? And this week it just dawned on me. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just simply that she likes to have sex with him. Maybe it's like great sex. Maybe she doesn't love him. It's just like, I want to have sex with you repeatedly, and I don't want that to stop because it makes me feel good. I don't know. I just think that I just see, like Juliet, there's a part of me that thinks that Jordan is not going to be a long-term character. I don't know why. Well, maybe it's just simply because it feels like every week now there's a reason for Jordan and Chelsea to get together and talk about their con artist pasts. And I just thought this week, you know, like they're bringing that up kind of conveniently, that Jordan and Chelsea used to do some shady things, and it's like on the same episode and in the same timeline as the sex ring is going down, and we know that Jordan took the sexy photos of Hillary, and I just keep thinking there's no way. I just think they're gonna end up connecting him to the sex ring somehow. You guys, Y&R needs to speed this sex ring along. I mean, they need to start like making some movement on this storyline fast, please. I mean, because every week it feels like things happen, but none of the things seem to get us any closer to Krystal. They don't get us any closer to busting Zach, and that's what I really want to see. I just hope they don't try to stretch this out until November sweeps. That would be another month away. I want to see some movement. It's a storyline that started out with some progress, or with some possibility, and it's just, it feels like it's stuck right now. This big shot music promoter comes to town this week, and he uses a certain app to arrange a date for Tessa's big performance at the Underground, which is all tied into the Underground expansion and to Tessa's music career expansion. And Scott and Sharon are there. Scott recognizes the girl as the one that he did a, I don't know, a false, like a test. He called in to go to the hotel room to get this girl. So he recognizes the Russian prostitute. Ugh, I just hate that I'm saying this. These words coming out of my mouth are so icky, but he recognizes her, realizes that she's a prostitute, realizes that she's connected to Krystal somehow, and Sharon and Tessa, by the way, I kind of thought like when Scott went in and like hugged Tessa and told her that the music guy was with the prostitute, or that was a prostitute, and that she was connected to Krystal, I kind of thought maybe they should be keeping Tessa like out of this, honestly, because it just seems like she's so invested, and I don't know, I just think they should probably all be staying out of it and leaving it to Paul. But there was just something where it felt like, I don't know, I would let Sharon handle it maybe, or I don't know. But Sharon and Tessa confront the girl in the ladies' room. She knows Krystal. They know that she knows Krystal. And actually this girl has expressed some concern about Krystal when she was getting her nails painted by Alice last week. So Tessa gives the girl her phone number, says, please call me if you find anything out. Who knows if she'll call? I don't know. By the way, Mariah is like putting on her best dress, she's putting on her biggest smile, and she's doing her very best job trying to pretend to just be a straight girl in a straight relationship. There's nothing going on here between me and Tessa. I'm totally straight. We are totally just friends. But it's funny because, like, meanwhile Tessa is completely happy in her straight relationship, so I'm just assuming that this is all headed in an unrequited love direction. I mean, I don't know. I still keep thinking too that how can Tessa think of anything but her sister at this point? Like, she's also got this whole music career thing going on, and she's also on this hunt to find her sister. I think I would only be thinking about the sister, although I guess that's maybe part of the beauty of the storyline, because I'd be curled into a ball in my bed over it. I mean, especially since, did you guys notice that the Russian prostitute referred to Krystal in the past tense? She was talking with Sharon and Tessa and said, you know, I liked Krystal. I liked her. So that's like a past tense, as in she's obviously gone now. I don't know if that means she has a sense of danger. She understands that there's mortal danger when it comes to this job and this profession and these people that they are associated with. I don't know. Scott works with Sharon to get the credit card information from the music promoter guy to see if they can connect the credit card that he's been using to pay for stuff at the Underground to a potential transaction for the Russian prostitute. I can't believe that anybody buys hookers with their credit card. And I mean, part of me wonders too, is Zach like so brazen that he would actually take payment for the prostitution through the app too? Nikki is just basking in this cabin lifestyle. The fresh cabin air, the crickets in the background, the loons on the lake, the fire crackling at night. Not a single mosquito, not a single mouse, just country bliss. Nikki and Jack are at the cabin this week, chopping wood like teenagers. Jack has so much wood for Nikki to chop. Where's all this wood gonna go? Jack, I mean, you could make Kane's wood box with all of the wood that Nikki's chopping of Jack's, right, Nancy? I mean, come on. Are they sleeping together? We see a lot of kissing and a lot of snuggling, but I asked you guys last week and nobody mentioned. I mean, do you think is it fully like an affair? I'm not sure. So Nikki and Jack are up at the ranch, and Nikki and Jack are at the cabin. Victor's at the ranch, brooding in the dark. I mean, he's just sitting there in the dark, probably waiting for someone to find him. There was this great scene, though, where Abby comes in. She sees him sitting there. She turns on the light, and I mean, Victor, he's obviously a broken little wounded bird, right? Abby, she feels for her father. And then she happens to go up to the cabin, makes a quick little jaunt, finds Nikki and Jack there together, and begs Nikki to not tell Victor about this. I mean, just as Nikki is feeling rejuvenated by her relationship with Jack, she learns that poor Victor is just sitting at home crying tears and tears, and he's so vulnerable, you guys. Yeah, right. Okay, this is Victor Newman we're talking about. The only tear he's crying right now is for himself. Nick tells Victor that Nikki was the one who found out about his trip up to Faith's camp, and of course Victor has to find a way to punish everyone else for finding out about his manipulation and holding him accountable for it. I mean, how dare they hold him accountable for his own manipulations and actions? He has to call in and make a favor to someone. He gets on the horn and he says, "Hey you, I need a favor. Get back to Genoa City." Who could that be? Later at the gym, Nikki and Victor run into each other, and I thought this was a very interesting conversation because he knows he was trying to call Nikki's cell phone and she wasn't answering, and he knows she was somewhere overnight, and he asks her, "Were you with Jack?" And Nikki obviously doesn't want to answer that question. She tells him, "Look, it's none of your business where I go and who I go there with," clearly implying that she's with Jack. And Victor says to her, "You know what? You're still my wife." And she makes a comment. She has a comeback where she says to him, "You know what? I'm still your wife, but if you want it to stay that way, then stay out of my business." So why would she even say that? This is just further proof to me that she's playing games with Victor. This relationship with Jack is at least in part about playing games with Victor. Like, she gave up this whole just for appearances, I have to be the head of the Newman family, I have to make everybody think that we're one big happy unit a while ago. That's not even a factor now. So if you don't want to be with Victor, then why not just divorce him? And Victor's mystery phone call was presumably to Kevin Fisher. Yay! Kevin shows back up in Genoa City this week, and Greg Ricart really seemed to be giving it his all. Was it me, or did you feel like he was giving extra personality plus? He was just trying to sparkle nearly so that we all love him and clamor for him to come back some more. Was anybody else a little thrown off by the fact that Kevin and Victor were surprisingly cordial? They didn't part on good terms. Victor basically had Chloe kidnapped and drugged and held, and now he's gonna stand there in front of Kevin with a straight face and ask how Chloe is doing. Oh, Chloe's fine. She's great. She's like a whole new person. Better than ever. I was surprised by that, too. I was expecting that when Kevin came back to Genoa City next time, he would be crushed because Chloe had done something wild and kooky and left him heartbroken, as she usually does. But no, she's doing well, and it was just odd to see Kevin and Victor, like shooting the breeze about Chloe. Well, this is where I'm about to get fired up. Victor and Kevin talk all all about Victor's next plan, which he needs Kevin to help enact. Victor has a new plan to get back at Nick for taking Faith away from him. He's sitting there talking to Kevin about, oh, can you even believe that Nick would do this? That he would try to keep my grandchildren away from me? And Kevin, who's only hearing Victor's side of the story, is nodding his head and saying, yeah, you know, I mean, like this, yeah, this is, I agree, you know, I mean, this is, I understand where you're coming from. Although, even Kevin noted right away that this little plan of Victor's is starting to sound a little bit like his war with Adam. You know, the war with Adam, the one that got his son murdered by Chloe, Kevin's girlfriend. That's so ridiculous. So Kevin's, you know, standing there talking to Victor and like nodding his head at everything, acting like what Victor is proposing is completely rational. Oh yeah, I mean, Nick, you know what? Nick is completely out of line. Yeah. Nick, he is so self-righteous. Nick, he is an ogre, right? Who keeps children away from their families. I mean, Victor Newman, the man who had a hand in keeping both Bella and Delia away from their parents at one point or another, standing there saying how horrible Nick is for keeping Faith away from him when he's not even doing that. But Nick has to pay. Nick has to pay. He's been a bad boy, and now Victor has to punish him for not falling in line. Victor thinks that if Nick wants to be truly independent from him, from the Newman name, then he needs to fund his underground expansion, this pet project that's bringing him and his son closer. Family bonding, which, you know, Victor loves family. Victor is all about family, okay? But he needs to bust up Nick's underground expansion and teach him a lesson by stealing away Nick's money. Victor wants the $500 million that Nick was legally awarded in a lawsuit against Victor to just poof, magically appear from Nick's account, and that's where Kevin comes in. We learn no lessons, Victor. Never, not a single lesson. Victor wants Kevin. There's so many things that are wrong with this. Victor wants Kevin to hack into Nick's bank accounts and his investments, liquidate all that money, and then just transfer $500 million into Victor's accounts instead. Yeah, right. I mean, this is so ridiculous and far-fetched on so many levels. The first level being Kevin is totally okay with just risking his entire life, his entire family, to do Victor a solid. To do a solid for a man who's done nothing for him? Except cause trouble and who they should by all accounts hate. I'll just set that aside for a second, because maybe even the bigger leap for me would be if Kevin Fisher could just hack his way to $500 million, he wouldn't be keeping it weird in Portland, okay? He'd be sailing around the world in one of his yachts. Okay, so I was wrong about Graham. I guess I kind of like Graham, and so I just wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt. Graham gets back from Paris, and he catches Ashley in his room snooping around where she found information about this active living center. And of course Ashley has to come up with an excuse immediately to say why she was there. She makes up some story about how Dina wanted her to go into Graham's room and retrieve some papers, and then she just like slips away into the darkness. Then goes back to the office where with Ravi they do a little research to find out that this active living center is in fact a retirement retirement home. She calls the retirement home, poses as a chipper Southern saleswoman, and asks for Mrs. Bloodworth. She talks to the woman on the phone, is like pretending to ask her to, I don't know, sell her some phone service or something, and Mrs. Bloodworth slips and says, "Sorry, honey, my son pays all the bills." My son! Gotcha! Gotcha, Graham! So, with Dina, though, Graham's like now realizing that something is up. So he goes to Dina and he asks her about these papers, these so-called papers that Dina wanted Ashley to get. And she tells him right away, "Look, that was a lie. Sorry. Yeah, about that, nothing." And more than that, during the conversation with Graham, she has this attack of conscience where she just blurts out Ashley's biggest secret, her biggest secret, that Ashley's father is not John Abbott. Like, it just comes out of her, out of nowhere. I, first of all, was very surprised that Graham didn't already know about that. Did everybody else kind of assume that he did? I assumed that Graham is her closest confidant, that he just knows all about it. But no, she tells him this secret. He's stunned to learn it, and she's stunned that she said it. It was interesting, and I think that gave us a sense of how big and how dire the secret really is to Dina. In fact, we had another nightmare scene this week where Dina is remembering this great flashback where she's threatening Brent Davis, Ashley's real father, or her paternal, paternal father, whatever, genetic father. She's telling him that he can never tell Ashley the secret of her paternity. I just thought that was such a great flashback scene, like Dina using, it kind of had this like sort of like old original Y&R, like classic, like Dina using her jeweled hand to like pull a revolver out of her fur coat. Just dripping in all these jewels and reaching into her fur to pull out this revolver. It just like, it had like, I don't know, old kind of 70s vibe to it that I just loved. And it again shows us how much it means to Dina to keep this secret if she's willing to, if she was willing to kill Brent over it. I just thought that was so great. And also, that dream sequence is what made Dina realize that she has just made a huge mistake in telling Graham. It's weird. Like, she had an easier time keeping this deep, dark secret from Graham than she did with us. Like, she slipped out of nowhere her biggest secret in life with Graham, and yet it's taken her months and months and months to just tell Jack and Ashley who the heck Graham is in the first place. Come up with a believable lie. Well, after talking to Mrs. Bloodworth, Ashley goes to Dina with all of her suspicions. But of course, Dina doesn't want to believe her, because if Ashley's right and Graham is up to something, Dina's entire relationship with Graham is null and void, and she lets him know that in no uncertain terms. If there was something up, if he reveals her secret, anything, like, she puts down a hard line with Graham. And I think that maybe Ashley talking to her did plant a little bit of an important seed in Dina's mind about Graham's, I don't know, his believability. Ashley then calls and talks to Jack, or she goes into the office and talks to Jack when he gets back from the cabin, tells him all about everything she's found out, and they make a phone call to this facility under the guise, the retirement facility, under the guise of scheduling a tour, and Jack is able to learn that Mrs. Bloodworth, yes, is indeed alive, living in their most luxurious suite, and more importantly, for storyline purposes, is originally from Genoa City. So she's a local. Now we're getting somewhere. I think probably everybody is kind of, for the most part, it seems like I think everyone is kind of guessing right on track with what I'm guessing, which is that maybe this could be another woman who had an affair with the Brent Davis, Genoa City stud, and that possibly he is a half-brother of Ashley's. Honestly, I think that would be a pretty compelling reason for Dina to want to protect Graham and keep him close and give him her estate when she's gone. And just taking it one leap further, if Brent Davis were Graham's father, then maybe there's like another twist of Graham knowing that his father always really loved Dina but was married to his mother, and or maybe even philandered with Dina or something could give Graham a little bit of a motive to want some revenge on the Abbotts. Because this week Graham puts on his sweet workout gear, heads on down to the gym where he's working out beside the great Victor Newman. Takes a couple boxing lessons there, has a little connection point with Victor with the boxing gloves. But more importantly, overhears a conversation, the whole conversation in fact, between Nikki and Victor, where they're fighting about her relationship with Jack. And then the next scene we see Graham heading on back upstairs to his suite, opening up an envelope that was left for him, which included the pictures that he paid for of Nikki and Jack at the cabin smooching away. He grabs these pictures, puts them into a new envelope, addresses it to Victor Newman, return address from Dina Mergeron. Interesting. Very interesting, Graham. I mean, I don't know if this necessarily puts him into all-out villain category or if this is just sort of like a, yeah, gotcha kind of thing. I mean, I'm so curious. And I'm also kind of like, I wish I would have talked through this a little bit more, because right at the first time we started seeing those photos taken at the cabin, I had said that I thought it was Graham. Of course, I also said I thought it was him sitting out there with a rifle scope, but hey, I gotta give me something. I was totally wrong last week. At least one of my predictions should come true. But, you know, honestly, all of that being said, I'm wondering, what's Graham's motive here? Like, if he's out for shadiness, if he's out for revenge, is he wanting to get revenge? Like, is it all pointed at Jack? Is it pointed at Victor? Is it pointed at Dina? Or is it pointed at all of the above? Other people who are looking for revenge on Jack include his brother Billy. It's pretty clear that Billy is willing to do anything to get it too. I mean, can Phyllis even take a freaking shower without Billy hacking into her computer? I'm over it. I mean, you want to talk about storylines that I'm over that. It just feels so unnecessary to me that Billy is doing it yet again, that he's hacking into Phyllis's computer yet again to get information about Jabot. You know what, Billy, if you want to play dirty, if you want to sink to Jack's level, then you need to do it without abusing your personal relationship with Phyllis to do it. That, to me, says that Billy does not value Phyllis enough, does not respect Phyllis enough to not risk losing her. He has to understand cognitively that doing this and getting caught means he will lose Phyllis. And you want to know what? He doesn't care. He values revenge on Jack more than his relationship with Phyllis, and that is ruining Billy and Phyllis for me, because I love Billy and Phyllis. This is a couple with so much potential, so much heat, and I hate to see this big of a betrayal. It's wrong. It's really, really wrong. At least they're continuing to give us like a little bit of heat with them, though. We at least get weekly sex scenes between Billy and Phyllis. They're at least giving the audience what they know we want. It was funny because they had this like sauna sex scene this week, which to me is a little gross. I mean, you went into a public sauna and you had sex in it. Ew, I hope they clean that out, because I don't don't want to be the person that comes into that sauna next. Have you ever been in a sauna? Have you guys been in a sauna? It's so hot in there that you can barely breathe. Can you even imagine having sex with that? You know, or like in that? I mean, honestly, I'd like if my life ever got to a point where I was having sexy time in a sauna, I would absolutely pass out in the middle of it. Counterfeiting, I love it. That was our quote from last week. Not a whole lot of people guessed that one. It was a little bit hidden. It was a quickie. But it was Nick who said it. He was talking with Noah about how they were going to get I think the liquor license or get more money for the expansion. It must have been related to the liquor license. I'm trying to remember now, but Noah kind of came up with a little quirky idea to get the liquor license, and Nick said, counterfeiting? I love it. By the way, I did watch, I had connected that to the Big Brother finale, and I did watch and was aghast by the Big Brother twist ending. I thought that was great. I hope you guys enjoyed it, if you're Big Brother fans too. I seem to only watch the CBS shows. Like, all the shows I watch are, I'm committed to CBS. I pretty much watch Young and the Restless, Bold and the Beautiful, Big Brother, and Survivor, which is starting on Wednesday. If you guys are looking for something good to pick up, trust me, it's a good show. So yeah, anyway, counterfeiting, I love it. Only 5 people guessed that was Nick, but even since it was a harder one, I gotta give like big mondo congratulations to the people who got it right. So well done, Sandra, Becca, Henry, Leanne, and Ambreen. Congratulations, you guys. I have one. You guys are gonna think I'm nuts, but this is my pick for the weekly quote. Faith does not fake it. I know you guys think I'm kind of hard on Faith, but I like this quote because it's like a, you know, kind of a double meaning too. Like the concept of faith also does not fake it. I don't know. I'm probably a terrible person for picking on this little girl, but I like this quote because Faith does constantly fake it. She's constantly faking it. So Faith does not fake it. If you think you know who said that quote, you can go to yrchat.com to leave your guess, and if you get it right, then I will give you your shout out on next week's Y&R Chat. All right, let's get down to these comments. I had given you guys a poll question last week and asked if you thought that we were headed toward a teen pregnancy storyline for Maddie and Reed. I thought it was just odd. We had a split 50-50 vote on that one. 50% of you thought, yes, we're gonna go. Probably Maddie's gonna get pregnant. 50% of you thought, nah, not gonna happen. I think a lot of people just who said that they didn't think it was gonna happen we're also kind of hoping that it didn't happen. I mean, I don't know. I guess we're going to have to see and wait on this one. I mean, Maddie and Reed are such a cute little couple. I certainly would like to just see it kept kind of light for a while. Y&R is so serious right now. There's not a lot of like happiness and love and rainbow puppies. All we've got is rainbow girl, and that's not good. So I wouldn't mind keeping it a little light for Charlie and Maddie for now, but I don't know. By the way, I did smile at seeing the scene outside of Walnut Grove where Charlie's taking Maddie to school and he was offering to give her tips on how not to get caught skipping class next time. That was adorable. Like those, like the teens have the potential to be the most fun part of the show, so I kind of like the idea of keeping it light. Let's get to some more comments here. Harper left me a voicemail this past week, and I think I know how you're gonna vote in this week's poll. Harper says, the storyline that I am just so over is Kane and Juliet. I am just like, kill her already and let's frame Kane for the murder and let him go away to prison. I don't know, just ready for that whole thing to come to an end. When Juliet showed up at the manor with the Chinese food and of course always rubbing her belly, I'm just like, it's exhausting. No doubt, Harper, that Juliet was playing up the rubbing on her belly. Like, I have a hard time getting a read on Juliet. I mean, I just don't have enough evidence to suspect that she's lying about the pregnancy. So I just, like, I can see, I totally notice how she's constantly rubbing on her belly and, oh, the baby wants mushu pork, and Esther being like, you need to take your mushu pork somewhere else. That was kind of hilarious. But like, Juliet's either really into her pregnancy, or she's really faking it and playing it up, or she's just really lonely and she's dying for someone to pay a little bit of attention to her. Gary left me a voicemail just recently with an idea that I hadn't thought of. It's funny because I'm not sure if you were joking about this, Gary, but it's actually a plot twist that I hadn't thought of. Gary said, you know, Juliet is going to end up miscarrying Kane's baby, and she's going to have to fake the pregnancy in the coming weeks and months to hold on to him. It's so funny because, like, that is such a soap opera trope. Would be such a predictable trajectory, yet it didn't occur to me at all that Juliet could lose the baby and kind of go on to fake it. I mean, do you think Y&R would do something like that? I think it all kind of also plays into our natural suspicion of Juliet. We just really don't trust her. In fact, I got another voicemail from Lisa this week, and she says, I think Y&R brought up the whole cystic fibrosis thing with Juliet's baby because the paternity twist is going to come into question again. Lisa says, I believe that the baby is Sato-san's, because why give Kane another chance to make up for his bro hug in Tokyo unless he's getting something in return? Lisa says, I think Juliet slept with them both and she doesn't know who the father is. I never really thought about the fact that it could have been Sato's son. I mean, I'm with you. I'm holding out this sliver of possibility that it's not Kane's child, and I think that a lot of people feel that way. Sandra at yrchat.com says, I can't blame Juliet for telling Kane to step up or step back. She's right. But the problem I have is that Juliet's version of stepping up is having Kane as a romantic partner. Yes, I do agree, Sandra. I mean, I really, while I can't blame Juliet for wanting Kane as the romantic partner, she needs to back off and let it develop naturally. We had this scene during the Chinese food where, she had called him to the mat a little bit about, are you going to feel the same way about our child as you do about Maddie and Charlie? Well, no. I mean, not initially. He didn't just magically have the relationship overnight with Maddie and Charlie that he does. You know, that's something that did develop over time. It's something that also was bolstered by his love for Lily, his love for that family unit. So you can't expect him to just out of nowhere and with very little, easing into it, to just have the incredible relationship with you and your baby that he has with Lily and his children who are grown, who've been raised. I mean, relationships are made over time, and so you got to give him a little bit of leeway for that. And I think that if Juliet were smarter, she wouldn't have kissed him. I think she would have tried to play the long game. If Kane's the father of the baby, he ain't going nowhere. You got him forever. You have a connection to him forever. Play the long game to get the guy, girl. Daisy on Facebook says, I think then this plays into a little bit of our poll question of, do you think that Kane has a moral obligation to be there for Juliet? Daisy says, Kane does not need to be a part of Juliet's life to be a part of his child's life, if in fact he's the father, which I still have doubts about. I wish Kane would stop allowing Juliet near him and go through their respective lawyers for visitation rights when the baby is born. And I completely see that comment, Daisy, because again, from Kane's perspective, Juliet sued him. Got him to lose his job. I mean, she manipulated that whole situation. There is no reason that he should be looking in her direction right now, and it's working against him to facilitate the relationship with her. Lily told him to step up for the child. She didn't tell him he had to be there for Juliet. That's all his choice. And so that's why I think I want to get this conversation going about the morality of the situation is there. Because, I mean, I guess as a woman, I think to myself, well, I mean, yes, he has an obligation to the baby, but I would like to think that a man, if I was pregnant with his child, would give some consideration, at least basic human consideration to me, and would at least keep things cordial and try to, for the betterment of the child, keep a healthy relationship with me. I just think probably my perspective is skewed more because I'm pretty close to you know, coming off having a baby. Let's see, Kiki on YouTube had a little theory about what's going on with Brash and Sassy and with Victoria's illness. Kiki says, I may be way off base, but does Victoria's illness have anything to do with the face mask that she's been beta testing? They give this close-up of all the customers trial testing the face mask with the close-up of the company chemist watching closely, then Victoria mentioning she's beta testing the product, and then fading into Victoria massaging her face and head. I have a feeling that a scandal with the Dare products is on the way. I didn't interpret that sequence as being related to Victoria's condition necessarily. I guess I was seeing it as more like adding on upon all of the other things that she's been feeling and just like mounting stress and pressure that she's under. But I really do like your idea that there could be a scandal with Dare. I mean, again, Jabot and Brash and Sassy, however inappropriate it is, they do occupy the same building, and it does make me wonder if there's any chance that Jack could go in there and sabotage their new face mask, a la Gloria went and sabotaged the Jabot face mask, or who knows, maybe Victoria or maybe Gloria could be added again. But I think that's a possibility. Aaron on YouTube left a message saying, I'm so proud of Ashley and Ravi doing a background check on Graham. I'm tired of the waiting to figure out who he really is. Dig up that dirt, Ashley. I really did like seeing Ravi and Ashley, Roshley and Ravi, I don't know. I liked seeing them work together to try to figure this out. And where are we on the status with the background check, Ravi? Can we get to that, please? It's another symptom of Y&R dragging these storylines a little too far beyond our ability to suspend the disbelief, I think. We just need to get to the background check. Beatrice left me a good comment on my voicemail this week, noting that Graham is a twisted individual. She says, I mean, how in the world can you lie and say that your mother or any family member you have is dead? I guess I hadn't thought of it that deeply too, because it is pretty twisted. If that is Graham's mother, to lie and say that she's dead just so that you can get your hooks into somebody else's fortune is pretty darn twisted. I hope that's not it, because I was kind of wanting to like Graham. Simone left me a voice message, and she was remembering a storyline from the TV show Lost. I never saw it, but I liked the connection that she drew here. There was a storyline on that show where a man took on a completely new identity so that he could go back and find a person that had ruined his parents' life. And just like that actually kind of got into my head and got me thinking about possibly Graham's revenge being based on something having to do with his mother and father's relationship. And that's what also kind of makes me think that maybe he was jealous of Brett. Maybe if Brett's his father, that maybe he was jealous that Brett always loved Dina, had an affair with her. I mean, maybe, see, that's the other thing. If Graham's father is Brett, does he know it? I don't know. Does he already maybe know that they're siblings? Or I don't know. He didn't even honestly seem that shocked about Ashley's paternity, or like maybe it was just very matter of fact. Like it didn't seem to matter for him. Do you think that Graham would and will possibly use that information against Ashley? Oh, I just thought of that too. Is there any chance that when Ashley comes to Dina, comes to Graham with all of this information and is threatening to blow Graham up, is there any chance that he's going to say, hey, if you breathe a word of this to anybody, then I'm going to tell everybody that John Abbott was not your father? I could see that too. Sandra left a comment at yrchat.com saying, I think that the best addition to Y&R in 2017 has been Dina. In just my opinion, I feel her enjoyable to watch. I think she's funny, insightful, gracious, infuriating at times, and even a little mysterious. I get a kick out of Dina when she takes a stand with other characters, and always look forward to seeing any scenes she is in. Those are my thoughts exactly, Sandra. I like Dina a lot. That is a total win for 2017. Ellen at yrchat.com weighing in here on Kevin's return, saying, well, I guess we're supposed to believe that little Bella won't spill the beans to Grammy Esther that mommy is alive and well. Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but yeah, there's no way that a little kid could keep that big of a secret too. I mean, please. Daisy on Facebook also left a good comment here about Kevin, saying, I love seeing him back, but not committing a crime. Daisy says, I can't imagine this will end well for Kevin because he's the one who can be traced to this whole, the financial mess, probably by his old boss, Paul, whereas Victor will not have anything traced back to him. Although if it's getting transferred into Victor's account, then I could see that's a trail for him. Why would he even want it right into his personal account? This whole thing is so unnecessary and so dumb and sloppy. It's just sloppy. I don't think Victor gives a crap if Kevin gets pulled down in all of this. I don't know why you wouldn't want the money transferred somewhere that has nothing to do with him. Victor don't want the money. He wants the revenge. Tanya, yrchat.com, my thoughts this week. Pretty much, Tanya says, it's getting old to always have Victor as the villain. And that's exactly how I feel. I feel exhausted right now just dealing with the idea that Victor is time and time again always the villain. That's exactly what I was thinking as I was watching all of this go down. It's the whole Adam thing all over again, and I'm tired of it. Marianne at yrchat.com says, I wish Victor would go for a routine medical check and a scan would reveal damage to his brain. That to me is the only explanation to his appalling behavior toward Nikki and Nick. I wouldn't even bother giving him the time of day anymore if I were them. I swear I don't understand him. Drop the act. It's enough, Victor. Marianne says, controlling people was maybe high in the 1990s, and I admit I did enjoy it back then, but this is nearly 2020 for crying out loud. Change your tune, face up, and own your mistakes. Boom. I mean, yes. I'm just, my heart just melts realizing that we're going back into the cycle with Victor. Why can't we just have him be a little nice? Why can't we have him be a little hero? I just, you know, as you said, Marianne, in the 90s was when I started watching the show, and to me, Victor was the hero of the show. Like, he was the main male lead, and not the main male villain. He's gonna need to be redeemed, and they need to work on it, and I hope that Mal Young, as the new head writer, will put that top of his list. In fact, I got a really fun voice message from Jamie and Isabella this week, and Isabella was having a really fun theory about Victor's possible redemption arc, how we're gonna see Victor come back, because you know, I mean, it's like he does the bad things and then he has to have his comeback moment. But I liked the idea that Isabella put forward, that, you know, what if it's revealed that Graham stole money from Dina, and then Victor ends up helping her get her money back, and that becomes his redemption story. I just think it's so interesting that Graham addressed that envelope to Victor from Dina. So he's obviously setting Dina up for something. He has to know that she's going to catch on to that, and I wonder if that's going to, I mean, create Victor being protective of Dina. I mean, Ashley did go to Victor this week and ask him what his read on Graham was, so Victor's ears are definitely up and his eyes are open when it comes to Graham, so it's certainly possible. I like that, Isabel, that that maybe Victor will get involved in Dina's finances. I liked also that you followed it up by saying we could also find out that Victor would give Dina some money to recoup her loss, and then actually it would be the $500 million that Victor stole from Nick. It's like, it is a cycle. It's like Victor is he's redeemed and he is dragged down, and he is redeemed and he is dragged down, and it's just over the years I think become a little exhausting. Oh, this was funny. Diana left a comment at yrchat.com saying, who does Y&R think they are? Who does Y&R think they are fooling by calling the music promoter Irv when we all know his name is Newman? As Jerry Seinfeld would always say through gritted teeth. Yes, so that was our big cameo of the week. I should have wrote down the actor's name and I can't think of it, darn it, but you know who it is. But yeah, it was good to see him. He played that part perfectly. He is kind of this just like kind of an annoying sort of sneaky maybe little guy, and he just plays it well. And yeah, I loved Seinfeld too. I mean, who doesn't love Seinfeld? So it was kind of good to see that little cameo this week. Are we going to see him again, or is that the end of Irv's arc? I don't know. I guess we'll just have to wait and find out. Okay, everybody, that does it for me for this week, but I can't wait to get your comments. Go to yrchat.com, vote in the poll, let her rip. I want to hear what you guys are thinking about the show as a whole. You also, of course, from the yrchat.com site can find the social networking links, and you can also call into my voicemail at 309-588-4569. I love getting your feedback, so please don't be shy. Well, on Wednesday will be watching Survivor. I hope you guys maybe will join me. Feel free to leave me a little comment about that, or call and let me know what you guys are thinking about that. Give me some predictions. You know, we love our shows. I love my CBS. But Y&R's my favorite. You know, it's like I never intended it. I never set out to just become a Y&R super fan. I don't even know if I am a super fan, but I'm a fan. I mean, like, I started watching the show and then wake up 20 years later, nearly 25 years later, and I'm still watching it. And loving every minute, mostly. Okay, well, I'm gonna get going, but I will see you guys next Sunday. Have a great week, and we'll talk then. Bye.